Hello and thanks for joining us for the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. I'm Cody Proctor. Each weekend we walk you through the headlines from this past week in the Inland Northwest. Let's get started with one of the biggest news stories of the past few days.
Well, if you're buying fireworks from a stand like this one behind me, you're in the clear. This stand sells legal, safe, and sane fireworks, though a new amendment to Coeur d'Alene's firework ordinance now gives police more enforcement authority on aerial fireworks.
It's about time, unfortunately. We've had wildfires forever. We've had fireworks seasons where it's been 110 degrees and we've been sitting in smoke.
City officials say simply possessing illegal aerial fireworks anywhere within city limits, including on private property, can result in enforcement.
What we're trying to do is give us a little bit more opportunity to be able to take that action to protect our city, to protect our community, where we're really hamstrung right now.
Officers no longer have to catch you setting off aerial fireworks to issue a citation or ticket. Whether the aerial fireworks have been used or not, the property owner or tenant in possession of the fireworks can be held responsible.
A lot of people go to the reservation and purchase them, or go to Montana and get them, so you see them a lot around here.
Eric Campbell has been a fireworks stand operator for over 10 years in North Idaho. He and I talked about the difference between legal, safe, and sane fireworks and aerial fireworks.
So you see them a lot around here, so people think that it's all legal, and it's not. It never has been. So that's like the big thing that people come and stop and ask for, and then we have to educate them that no, you're technically, this is the stuff that's legal in Idaho.
Campbell says fireworks like mortars, bottle rockets, Saturn missiles are considered illegal aerial fireworks.
Aerial fireworks are anything that's going to lift off the ground, and then anything that explodes, so like firecrackers and stuff like that.
Now, I confirmed with the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office that the only place people can purchase and use aerial fireworks is within boundaries of the Coeur d'Alene Reservation. Officials say non-aerial, safe, and sane fireworks sold at stands like TNT are legal. That includes sparklers, fountains, and spinners. Fireworks designed to stay on or near the ground, rise no higher than 20 feet, and remain within a 15-foot diameter.
Safe and sane fireworks are basically just fountains and novelties, and then anything that's going to have the California registered safe and sane seal.
Now, this all comes at a time as Kootenai County faces severe drought conditions. Coeur d'Alene Fire Department officials tell me that even when using legal fireworks, to stay clear of any dry brush this holiday. For now, I'm reporting in Coeur d'Alene, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
At this intersection on Highway 95 in Bonner County, a two-car crash sent a group of kids to the hospital, but a local neighbor and Good Samaritan who lives right over here jumped in to help the victims.
It sounded bad. We heard the screeches from like, boom. Like, oh, that was a bad accident.
Tim Billingsley was working with his uncle in their wood shop when they heard the crash and rushed to the scene.
I ran over there with a bunch of water, called 911, started helping the kids get out of the van. And then finally, about 15 minutes later, the cops got there and they took over. We were helping people get through with the traffic too, because the traffic backed up instantly. It was really bad.
According to Bonner General Health, the hospital the victims were taken to, a 12-passenger van with 10 kids, 1 adult chaperone, and 1 junior high mentor were headed on a field trip during their summer camp when their van hit another vehicle on Highway 95.
We just brought rags and water over. I mean, that was all I could really do. I've never felt so helpless, actually. I was like, oh my gosh. Trying to get all the kids to calm down. They're all screaming, crying. Just letting them know that they're going to be okay, you know. That's all I could do, really.
Billingsley says he estimates the kids in the van were between the ages of 8 and 14. He also says the other vehicle was an Amazon delivery van, and the witness says the driver was trapped inside the vehicle after the van T-boned her driver's side door while she was trying to turn onto the highway. When emergency services arrived, they were grateful to Billingsley and the other neighbors for their help and quick thinking.
They were just very thankful that we called 911 right away, because at first everyone's like, oh, we're okay, but then I saw that kids were bleeding. I'm like, I'm gonna get the cops, I'm gonna get the ambulance here, because I didn't know how bad people were actually hurt. And then I'm glad I did, because the kids were pretty beat up. So
According to Bonner General Health, 11 of the victims from the van were taken to the hospital along with the driver of the other vehicle, and another was airlifted to, quote, a higher level of care. Idaho State Police says the crash is still under investigation. In Bonner County, Caitlin Galloway, KREM 2 News.
Jesse Faye's family says they're grateful for the support they've received since Saturday's crash on Highway 395 south of Deer Park. His sister-in-law, Alyssa, describes Jesse as someone who always puts others before himself.
Jesse has a lot of friends and family, and we're just very appreciative for everyone that's been praying for us.
The crash left Jesse with more than a dozen fractures, a laceration to a kidney he received in a 2020 transplant, and other serious injuries. His family says he's already undergone one surgery and could require more procedures as doctors continue to monitor his condition. Jesse's father, Joe, says the drive to the crash scene was filled with uncertainty.
We rushed up just in time for him to get put into the ambulance, not really knowing anything, just that he's on his way to the hospital.
While Jesse is expected to remain hospitalized for at least another week, his recovery will stretch far beyond that. His family says a previous hip surgery last year exhausted his Family and Medical Leave Act benefits, meaning he'll be without income while he recovers. They're now asking for community support to help cover expenses so Jesse can focus on healing. For his sister Malia, this isn't the first time she's watched her brother overcome difficult odds. She says Jesse survived leukemia as a young child and has always relied on his faith through life's toughest moments.
And growing up as a kid, doctors said multiple times that he's lucky to be alive. And even as a little kid, Jesse's response was always, there's no such thing as luck, it's only God's grace. And so again, doctors have said that he's lucky to be alive today. So we just give it all to God.
His family says they're thankful Jesse survived the crash and are asking for continued prayers as he begins what they know will be a long road to recovery. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
As we go to break, here's a check of your weekend forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. It's been a busy week across the Inland Northwest, and we want to help catch you up on some stories you might have missed.
It makes you feel very vulnerable when we already have vulnerable kids.
Angelique Rusk with the Boys and Girls Club of Spokane County describes the moment she realized the organization's Northtown Club location was broken into. It happened at around 12:30 a.m. on Thursday. Rusk recalls getting a notification that there had been a break-in from security. Once they contacted police and officers arrived, nobody was at the scene. When staff got to the club, they found a dead bolted door had been kicked in, their windows had been used to get inside, and 44 tablets were stolen. Russ says they're a reliable resource to help educate the kids they serve.
Those are tools that we're really excited to be able to use with the youth that access our services, and things that help them with their academics and their education, and those tablets were a big piece of that.
Right now, Russ estimates the cost to replace the tablets and repair damages to be between $20,000 and $25,000. There's no plans in the works to hold fundraisers to make up the costs, but Russ says they always are accepting donations. For now, she hopes to find out more about what happened, hoping it'll make her and the people the club serves feel safer.
It's just really unfortunate to know that somebody felt that that was okay to enter and take things that were really critical tools for very deserving kids.
Spokane Police says if anyone knows anything related to the incident, they're encouraged to call Crime Check. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
There's an old saying that food brings people together. This week, it brought a World Cup team and a Spokane family together to the same table, creating memories that'll last far longer than the tournament itself.
My dream has come true here in Spokane.
For co-owners of Fatirs, Amir and Mo Talb,
The last 2 months since their grand opening have been full of coincidences, like the fact that they opened the only Egyptian restaurant in the Inland Northwest the very same week Spokane was announced as a team base camp for Team Egypt.
Yeah, it was really happy coincidence for sure.
A happy coincidence that led to a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
It was surprise for me.
The Talb family coming face to face with their idols, Team Egypt, and getting the opportunity to feed them traditional Egyptian fatirs.
I feel so happy. I feel very happy about that. It's just an amazing experience for me. And they love the food, and after that they keep order every day from our restaurant.
Talb says he made plenty of deliveries to the team's hotel over the last 72 hours, even taking over close to 20 fatirs to the airport right before the team took off for their next match.
They said we have to take it with us to Texas.
A dream 20 years in the making to feed Team Egypt.
I never think about before, and even if I'm in Egypt, it's not gonna happen. And I was lucky it happened here in Spokane.
Finally coming to fruition.
But it's really a great experience, unforgettable.
Team Egypt faces off against Australia tomorrow in Texas. Now, the owners of Fatir say that they will be hosting a watch party for everyone to come out and enjoy. In Spokane, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Thanks for joining KREM 2 News this weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Right now, we're taking a look back at some of the news stories from the past week.
And now we're excited to inform our patients and our community members about this program as it begins to deliver for Washingtonians.
The Washington State Department of Social and Health Services says for the last 3 years, Washingtonians have been paying 58 cents for every $100 earned into a statewide trust fund, unless they chose to opt out. Today is the first day eligible Washingtonians can start using the benefits they've been paying into. Once you become eligible by paying into the fund for at least 10 years and meet accessibility requirements, you can access the program's benefit amount, which is currently $36,500. If you haven't paid into the fund for 10 years but need help with long-term care, there is a reduced amount available based on how many years prior you were able to contribute, and there is even a retiree track for those born before 1968 who might not be working for the next decade, meaning you get 10% of the benefit for every 500 hours you work annually. B. Rector, the Assistant Secretary for DSHS, said in a recent press conference the program itself is meant to give Washingtonians more options.
We partnered to build a program that we believe will bring Washingtonians greater choice, greater peace of mind when it comes to the need to navigate getting help for themselves or for a loved one.
Both Washingtonians who need the assistance and the close to 800,000 caregivers who are providing $1.2 billion worth of care to family members, like Christina Keys, who has been taking care of both her mother and partner.
And so this is where things like Walk Cares can come into play. When that happens emotionally with us, we are not thinking clearly, so that $36,000 gives us a point where we can take a breath and figure out what we need to do next. So I'm very grateful that it's going to be there for me and for others like myself in the future.
Now, what happens if you've paid for the fund but need to move out of state? DSHS says if you leave Washington, you can elect to keep contributing into the fund and have at least a year to decide what you want to do after moving. DSHS says they are working to allow those benefits to be used outside of the state in 2030.
The teen is still fighting for his life here at Harborview Medical Center, according to his family, who says doctors scheduled him for a spinal surgery today, a result of what happened more than a week ago.
My heart is aching, as my whole family's heart is aching.
This grandfather now spends his days at the hospital, steps from 19-year-old Caution Man's bedside.
We just constantly pray for him.
We are grateful he's still with us.
His father says Caution called 911 himself on June 24th from a Federal Way home.
He advised dispatchers that he was in the middle of a mental health crisis, that he had a firearm, and that he was thinking of taking his own life.
The Valley Independent Investigative Team reviewing this incident confirms the teen was armed. Investigators say officers spent nearly 10 minutes trying to de-escalate, deploying several less lethal options before the shooting. 3 Federal Way police officers fired their weapons.
Right now, he just able to move his one arm.
Why? Why would you send untrained officers or something if somebody's having a crisis? Especially a young man that calls on himself. That's pleading for help, not pleading to get killed.
That's how Caution's grandfather sees it. The family says witnesses have given them an account that contradicts the investigative team's findings. Now they're demanding Federal Way Police release the body camera footage and the 911 recording.
Law enforcement has not made any of the evidence available to Caution's family or to his counsel.
For his family,
this should have never happened.
They're anxious for answers.
We just want the truth, that's it.
At this time, Federal Way Police will not discuss details about this case because they say an active independent investigation is still underway. In Seattle, Adley Swaby, King 5 News.
Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 News. You're watching the Week in Review, where we bring you some of the biggest news stories of the past week.
July marks the start of an annual tradition.
It's a big week, yeah.
It's a crazy week.
Yeah.
It's crabbing season. This year, when you survey your haul, you might see something different attached to your catch.
There we go.
Local tribes and Washington's Department of Fish and Wildlife have tagged about 1,400 Dungeness crabs and re-released them in various locations around Puget Sound.
They're plastic tags with information that's printed on the plastic sheath. Then there's a phone number on the tag to report the tag location, date, and capture site.
They noted where they were released and want to know where they're caught to see how little or much they travel underwater.
Some of the assumptions underlying that is that there isn't movement. So we'll set a quota in an area and say this is the amount of crab that we have to catch in this area, but we're not factoring in if crabs are moving out or if they're coming in. And so if that amount that we decide that is the appropriate harvest level, it might be wrong because actually 30% of the crab are moving into the neighboring area.
Don and Caitlin with WDFW say there have been studies on crab movement along the open coast, but the only research they're aware of in Puget Sound was about 20 years ago when the department did a similar tagging process in the early 2000s, so they're now bringing it back.
Now there's more interest, mostly because of these conservation concern areas, but also just to have a better understanding of what's happening with the population.
It's important information since some crab populations are healthy, but others, like Hood Canal and the South Sound, have been closed since 2018 with no sign of recovery and no clear answers for why Dungeness crabs are struggling there specifically.
There's plans to do more. In fact, this project seems to be growing a little bit. There's more interest from co-managers to release maybe out on the Strait or in some other area up in the San Juan Islands, because the research questions that we're addressing with these methods is broad scale. So everybody has interest in knowing where crabs are coming and going.
So if you find a crab with this little green tag on it right here, you want to take note of where and when you found it. Even if it's not a crab that you're actually able to keep, they still want to hear from you. Call it in and let them know where you found the crab to help out with this research. For Environment Northwest, I'm meteorologist Leah Pizzetti.
Keep it here for more news and weather updates throughout the weekend. And don't forget, you can watch our latest newscasts anytime on the KREM 2 app. Just scan the QR code on your screen to watch for free. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for watching the KREM 2 News Week in Review.